Bit later in the morning here, chasing a few herring, hoping to snag a tailor or two. I've just got my light rod. It's a 2 to 4 kilo rod, 7'6", and I've got my 2500 reel, which is a Stratic. I've got 4 pound braid and 8 pound mono on it, and by mono, sorry, it's fluorocarbon. I've got about a rod length of fluorocarbon. Just throwing out little metals to try and get a few herring. The best metal I reckon is the Savage Gear in white flash. Pretty reliable.
There we go.
I find soft plastics are probably the best for herring, but if you want to get good casting distance off the beach, Savage Gear, you can't go wrong. The only problem is they shake you out a lot. As soon as I catch them, I crack the neck and chuck them straight in the cooler. I want them to be nice and fresh for the dinner. I'm getting a hook up every sort of 3 or 4 casts, but I'm probably only landing about 50% of the fish. I try and keep the rod down low so it doesn't breach, but as the water sucks back in, they often shake off. Spiky little bastards. I'm just walking up and down the beach between a few spots. Again, losing it right at the end. Eventually I snag up. With the 8 pound line, it's pretty hard to retrieve your lure once you're snagged up. So unfortunately it's stuck on the reef. So I have to change up my plan because I don't have any more little metals. I thought I'd maybe go for a few whiting, so I chucked on a little gulp on a little worm hook, cut off the remaining leader and put a sinker on. Basically bait fishing with gulps. Got a herring in probably the first or second cast with it. Works well. If there's blowies around, they're absolutely impossible though. I picked up a shitload of whiting, but they're all these tiny little tackers. Thought I'd keep one to see how it goes in smoker. Got a nice array of herring, including one big bull. So I scaled and gutted them. I then put them in a brine, so that was about 1.5 litres of water, bay leaf, peppercorns, about 100 grams of salt, which was Himalayan salt, and about 50 grams of sugar. Left it for about 8 hours. And then hosed off the salt and put it on a rack to dry. It was a hot night, so I just cranked the outdoor fan and left it there for about 40 minutes. I also patted it down with paper towels. If you don't have time, just pat it even more heavily with paper towels and you can put them onto the smoker. Got the coals nice and hot. I was cooking it at about 100 degrees Celsius. Cooked up the missus some burgers. I may have added 1 or 2. Trying to be healthy with no buns because I was about to have 2 dinners. Chucked on the fish and I used cherry and alderwood chips. So I put about a handful in every sort of 20 minutes. If you watch my videos, you know my favourite way to eat smoked fish is a basic olive oil and butter pasta, and the key to having a good pasta is fantastic olive oil. This is fresh from my grandparents' farm. I planted the trees when I was a kid. So I put the olive oil in a pan and I've diced up a bit of the onions left over from the burgers and about 3 cloves of garlic. After about 5 minutes, I'll add in the tomato. Again, it's on really low heat because I just want it to all infuse into the olive oil. I had salt and pepper to taste and I chucked in a knob of butter about 10-15 minutes into it. I then pulled a couple of fish off the smoker after about an hour. Turned out the whiting was a bit dry, so I ended up using 2 of the herring. I'd say trout is probably the best fish for this, or more oily fish like tailor, mackerel, herring. Peel the skin off and you've got this really nice juicy smoky fish. Separate it from the bones. It's pretty easy, it falls straight off. I then stir the olive oil mix and the fish through some nice al dente thin spaghetti. Add in a shitload of pepper, maybe a bit of chili as well. You can put in a bit of more butter if you need as well. Add a bit of parmesan, have a glass of chilled white wine. Literally my favourite dish. It's so good. For more catch and cook and Perth Metro fishing, please subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments section.